Hi there, my name is John Kirkby from iTech WA. Well, today we want to talk about how you can back up your data to either the cloud or, more importantly, to an external device such as an external drive or a thumb drive. Now, basically, there we are, itechwa.com.au. Go there for lots of free advice. Let's have a look at one of the article we've got on this. Obviously, we're talking about here that the simplest way that Microsoft want you to do is backing up to the cloud, to OneDrive in their instance. And when you do a bit of a search on their site, that's what you get told, that it has to be done through OneDrive. But it's not necessarily true. There are two methods of doing it in OneDrive, and there are three methods of doing it to an external drive. So we'll just go through the steps here, and I'll show you what Microsoft want, which is type 1 and 2. But first we need to know how much space do we need to back up. And we can see here how it's all detailed in here, step-by-step guide. But if I was to go and open this one, it will give us an idea. I'll show you how to do it. What we'll need to go is this. We need to go into File Explorer and look for the user profile. Now in this case, File Explorer is here. We're going to open up this PC in the C drive, and its users, and in this case it's called admin. And by hovering over it, you can see that admin is only 994 megabytes, so it's quite small. There's nothing on this computer. It's just a test computer. So we know it's less than 1 gigabyte. So we know that a small thumb drive will be able to do everything that we need it to do. Not always the case. And it also means that by being under 5 gigabytes, it'll back up to the free allowance that Microsoft give you on the cloud, if that's what you want to do. So the cloud methods, which we don't really talk about here, as much is something called Windows Backup. Do a search for Windows Backup, and this thing will open here. Now remember, this is only for transferring to the cloud. Click on Backup this PC, next, and you'll see here that it's trying to send everything to OneDrive. And in this case, mine's already been backed up. And luckily, but if I was to hit here, we can actually see it starting to do a backup now. Forget about backing up that. So it says it's backing up. You might get some little errors like this, so don't worry too much. Here we go, partially backed up. So it's partially backed up, and you should see here the credentials I haven't backed up. That's because I haven't signed in, because I'm trying to keep this as anonymous as possible. So that's type 1. That's a way of cloud backup. Type 2 is also cloud backup, and it's to the OneDrive. And we can see here, if I was to look in the settings of OneDrive, there's a section here about backup important PC folders to OneDrive. Click on Manage Backup, and you can see now here it's confirming that it's less than 1 gigabyte to back up, and we've got a 5 gigabyte allowance, so we can do this. This will work. But if you've got quite a bit of old data, this is not going to work. It's going to be very frustrating. So that's the two methods of cloud, which is what Microsoft are trying to do, because they make more money out of it, of course. Now I'm going to show you how to basically manually copy and paste to an external drive. Now, what I've got in here, I've already got the external drive plugged in here. It's a USB drive and it's E. I'm just going to clear it out so we can use it as an example. Okay, now we'll see that the E drive down here is empty, nothing in here. So the first method we're going to use is this one, manually copying using a copy and paste method. Excuse me. So it's saying here, it's all detailed in this article. And I'll just show you how to do it quickly because it's a very quick method. In File Explorer, we're looking for your user profile. Now that is found on this PC, under the C, under Users. And in this case, I think as I showed you before, it's called Admin. You know, I open to Admin, all my documents, contacts, searches, favorites are all in here. So if I was to select everything in here, do a right click, copy, I can now go to the E drive, do another right click, and then do paste. And away it goes. And you can see that the files are starting to copy over here. Now, I'm not going to continue the thing on because we haven't got that much time. So I'm going to cancel that. That's the easiest way. That's the method 3. Just going to clear out that over here. And now there are 2. Method 4 and 5 are actually hangovers from Windows 7, would you believe? And method 4 is using something called file history. Maybe this first popped up in Windows 8. But it's a thing called file history. And the easiest way of finding it, the program, is to just go into search, type file history, open, and this panel will pop up. Now, first thing it wants us to do is we need to select the drive. No usable drives were found. That is interesting because an E drive should be there. I didn't format it. Format complete. Now it should be there. Okay, let's try that again. Go back. Select the drive. Now it sees E. It's got 14 gig. It's only a small SSD, small drive. Move your existing. No, I'll just. And you can see now it wants to. It's on. And if I hit the run now, it will start to run. When it wants to. And under advanced settings here, we can choose this also to be daily, 12 hours, every 6 hours. Changes. Turn on. Run now. Okay, it's saved. It's now it's working. If I were to check on that, if I go to E now, you can see there is file history. Under admin, it's all in there. So that's method. I have to check now. That's method 4. Now there's also another method here, which is called, and it's actually a program called Backup and Restore Windows 7, but it's still sitting there on Windows 10 and Windows 11. Would you believe? For this exact purpose. So maybe you were using this, 10, 15 years ago if you had your computer that long. But again, it's in Control Panel. It's hiding there. So if we were to go to look for Control Panel, which is from Windows 7, Windows 8, you might be familiar with this. And there we go, Backup and Restore Windows 7. So you can see it's already detected that there's an E drive there, and we can turn on the schedule. We can do everything that we did in file backup. We click on backup now, you should see it start to work. Backup's in progress, and that will just take a few minutes, and you can set that up to work automatically. So we'll let that go back. So there you go. We've just shown you 5 different ways of one, knowing how much data you need to back up, and then the 2 cloud methods, and then the 3 non-cloud methods. So hopefully this has been informative and that you can now do it for yourself. You can also use this as a way of transferring data from a Windows 10 machine to a Windows 11 machine if you're upgrading. I'd suggest using the file history or the backup and restore, and then when you get to the new machine, plug the USB in, and then you use the restore function, and all the data should come across quite easily. Alright, that's me signing off, John Kirkby from iTech WA. Hopefully you have a great day. Alright, all the best.